So I'd like to discuss the economics of this a little bit. It's estimated that the addressable TV marketplace in the United States is about $300 to $400 million this year, and will likely grow to about $600 to $700 million next year. Interestingly enough, when you compare this to the overall TV advertising market, it's actually pretty small. The overall TV advertising market's about a $70 billion market in the United States. So if this is so great, why aren't advertisers taking advantage of it? Well, there's a couple reasons, a couple challenges, and a couple things that are going on in the future, or moving towards the future. The first is that when you're trying to target people addressably, you only can reach the set-top boxes that actually can deliver addressable inventory. The reality of the situation is that many people have cable boxes that just don't support this approach yet. And so what the cable companies are doing is that they're in the process of swapping out all of those boxes so that more people can be reached addressably. And that will lead to a pretty substantial amount of growth over the next 1 to 5 years. And we see this industry growing rather significantly. So the next issue with addressable TV is that right now it's not as available in the programmatic infrastructure for buying compared to digital display. However, that is changing too. And so what that will do is that will make it easier for people to, such as agencies such as ourselves, to be able to actually execute addressable buys, and things that are easier and things that are more scalable are things that oftentimes that advertisers want. The third thing is that we're just at the beginning of being able to bring data into this environment, right? The addressable TV companies now are partnering with third-party data sets, and companies like ours are helping them bring actual advertiser data so that they can reach specific known individuals. The fourth thing is that the infrastructure for measurement and for analytics is still being evolved. However, that is improving rapidly. So for example, the ability to do things like, how do you do make goods against addressable TV buys? What are the standard terms and conditions? How do contracts work? How do guarantees work? How do you do things like attribution? All of these things can be done, and we are doing them, and the industry is doing them, but they're really happening on a bespoke basis. As those become standardized, then we actually see a lot of continued growth in this space. There's really one final thing that's happening, and that is that the different cable companies are actually merging. And what that's doing is that's creating a much bigger footprint for addressable TV, because when you think about it from an advertiser perspective, if you deal with two cable companies, that's far more complicated than dealing with one much larger cable company and doing a single buy on that cable company. And we believe that's one of the things that's driving a lot of the consolidation in the marketplace. So in summary, a couple things are happening in this industry that we think is going to make it a real growth industry. Number one, the increase in number of set-top boxes that are actually addressable, right? Number two, the ability to integrate data and both first-party and third-party into the buys. Number three, the ability to integrate this buying into the existing programmatic digital architecture for buys. Number four, the standardization of measurement, terms and conditions, contracts, etc. And finally, number five, just the consolidation among the cable companies themselves. So as any new technique grows, it's very important to have the discussion about privacy. And it's important to get ahead of that discussion so that systems, infrastructure, approaches can be built in a way that respects people's privacy, yet delivers value for both advertisers and desired content for the people who are being actually advertised to. The good news about this space is that these privacy discussions have happened very early and are ongoing, and there's something that we support and something that we feel the whole industry should support and get behind.